What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. Chance and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell and a new guest and friend of the show, Pat the Designer, with the Windy City Breeze podcast, who covers the Bears and looks like the Bulls also, if you look over his right shoulder. Pat, thanks for joining us.
No problem, man. No problem. Appreciate you guys for reaching out, man. It's going to be an interesting week as a Bears fan.
Trust me, it's going to be an interesting week as a Ravens fan, too. You better
after last week, we don't know what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to say, you might be, of all the guests we've had on, you might have the best voice for podcasts so far.
Oh, word?
And the best microphone. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you gotta go with the Shure SM7 when you're doing this thing, man. This is game change. I said when we bought them, because we had like $20 mics, and they worked great because I knew how to manipulate them. But I was like, man, I sound like God right now. This must be what Moses heard up on the mountaintop. This is pretty good. Pretty good. I take this, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that makes me think of Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, and they make it sound like they think the kid it's them, but the kids think it's God talking because they're talking into the ventilators. Like that's good stuff, man. That's awesome. We appreciate you taking the time. We're excited, and we're gonna ask. Really, the goal of today is to allow the Ravens fans to get a little insight into the Bears. Like, obviously, we follow the Ravens passionately, but not. We don't follow the Bears as closely as you do. So we want to hear from you on the Bears. And Glenn, I might be stealing your question here, but I'm going to start right under center. The reason I'm going to start under center is because I think that I still think this. I think Justin Fields was the number 2 quarterback in that draft. I don't care about the Mac Jones. I don't care about the, a situation makes a difference. Mac
Jones looking pretty good right now.
He's looking good, and I think that if Justin Fields had that situation, he might look just as good.
That's fair.
But so I think as an individual talent, I think he was the second best player or second best quarterback in the draft. But he has some parallels to Lamar Jackson in that I think that there was some hot and cold people about the drafting of Justin Fields. Right now he sits, and Glenn pointed this out before we were looking up his stats before the show started. 59% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 8 sacks.
Yep.
8 picks.
Or 8 picks, excuse me, and a lot of sacks. Yeah, so not looking great on paper. How are the fans? What is the fans' feeling and pulse towards Justin Fields these days?
I mean, it's a rookie QB. You love Justin. We loved Mitch when he was a rookie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's like anybody with any rookie QB. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys got to see Lamar his rookie year when he took over for Flacco. Now, granted, Lamar was just like, okay, like this is different from what you guys had there. That's kind of how we are with Justin. I think that people are going to I can only give you what I believe. The pulse of the city is always going to be his rookie QB. Let him learn. He's going to learn. He's going to figure it out. He's going to become our franchise quarterback for the next 20 years. We haven't had a lot of luck with that as the Chicago Bears. Yeah. So you hope I for the first time in my life believe that they got it right. I would go as far to say that they did not get the second best quarterback in the draft, that they got the best quarterback in the draft, and his concerns might take away from that. But the reason I say that is because I'm assuming you're saying Trevor's the best quarterback in the draft.
So that's
coming out. That's how he felt when the draft process
coming out.
But I also agree with you that I think he was always nipping on his heels. I think to say Trevor was
Jimmy
just
was high on some Justin Fields. He said 1 and 1A is how he called.
You're right. I did say that.
The thing that I look at is that Trevor and Justin have had because I believe they grew up pretty near each other.
Yep.
And so they've had some battles, and Justin hasn't lost one yet. like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like Brady to Manning to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, they had some battles, but Brady won a good chunk of them.
Now you're talking high school battles, I'm assuming, and I just have to point out,
college.
Okay, because Tyler Huntley did beat Lamar Jackson in high school, and right now he's backing him up, and I don't think he's nipping at the heels of Lamar Jackson.
This is true. Good point. But I think that when you see the two of them, that was a really good point. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I think when you've seen the two of them, it's been a consistent back and forth between them. And it's not like Justin stomping Trevor out. You know what I'm saying? Trevor absolutely competing, absolutely keeping his team in the game. I mean, what was that? It wasn't national championship, whatever the round before.
Was it the semi-playoff?
Semifinals in the playoffs. Trevor was the only thing really kind of keeping it semi close until Justin just took off and destroyed him. So the battles have been there, but to me, I think Justin is the best quarterback in this that's going to come out of this draft. You mentioned Mac Jones. Mac Jones is went to the perfect system for Mac Jones. Like they were like, let's find somebody Brady-esque and see if we can recreate this thing. And so far, they've done a good job. So as far as the city, there's love. Justin had a good game last week versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, or 2 weeks ago versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and so we're high on him. And of course, but you know how fans go. He can throw 2 picks this week versus the Ravens, and all of a sudden it's like we should have never got rid of Mitch. And it's like, all right, let's let a rookie be a rookie for a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I mean, all you have to do, fans are up and down. Just check out our Twitter feed, and I really go through it pretty much every game. It's really bad, but yeah, great point.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you before we get into many more questions. I got to ask you about this injury report because I was reading into it today, and it is a lot of big time names. So rather than me just kind of going through it completely, I need to know from someone who would know a little bit more in depth whether these are things we should, that Bears fans should really be concerned with, because these are a lot of big time names on this list. So who's at risk of not being able to play? Who's a big time contributor?
So the weird thing is with the Bears, right? Like I don't believe A-Rob's going to play.
Okay.
I don't believe Allen Robinson is going to play. I think that's the one that you would say is a big time contributor based on the name. The difference is now Justin really hasn't gone to A-Rob. A-Rob's come away with about 3 to 4 targets a game. I believe last week he got his highest market share targets at 6. My fault. I went into fantasy mode there for a second. He got his highest targets at 6 targets, and I mean that's the most that Justin has looked his way, and I believe that it's just because he's getting to the point where you have these guys, you have these names, and I'm sure you guys experienced this too. You had some guys in there that you thought was going to be go-to guys that absolutely are building pieces around Lamar, and Lamar didn't rock with him. Like, it's not that he didn't like him. He just, it's not my guy. This is my guy. Hollywood Brown, he keeps catching the ball, falling in the end zone. I'm going to keep going his way. That's kind of what Justin has started to do, and he's starting to get in his own. So I think that Allen Robinson is probably the biggest name on there that you're concerned about. The thing with Bears injuries is we've seen this all season long. When they say game time decision, my God, they mean it. I don't know if Matt Nagy thinks that it's a strategy. I don't know if but there is a lot of guys who have been off. I mean, Mac is still a question mark. You know what I'm saying? Hicks, he might not go. Akeem Hicks might not go because another groin injury for him. So there's those names that you think are going to be staples, but then at the same time, as a Bears fan, I'm taking a step back and I'm saying, all right, well, if we've got any shot of winning this game, it's on the back of Justin Fields in that offense. So for me, not having A-Rob as your safety net is probably your biggest missing piece, but it's because you're going to need to score a lot of points to beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, because they've been beating very good defenses, and the Bears defense has not shown that it's been a very good defense this year.
Now, let me ask before Jimmy jumps in here. So Khalil Mack, what do you say, 50-50? Because he missed practice today.
He missed practice today. The thing with Mack is a warrior. So
yeah, he scares the hell out of me.
He could miss the entire week and possibly play. I would say with Khalil Mack, I would lean towards, especially coming off of a bye week. Now, if we get the Wednesday, or what? No, wait, today is Wednesday. If we get to Friday and he hasn't still played, I don't know why I said Wednesday. If he gets to Friday and he hasn't still played, then you might start looking at it as, okay, like he didn't play on the bye, or he didn't play before the bye. He probably hasn't done much during the bye, and he's still not practicing a lot. Now it might be a little more. I might lean towards actual concern, but Khalil Mack is such a warrior, dude. Like we've had weeks here where he hasn't practiced all week. The week we got him, one of his best weeks here, he just showed up and played against the Packers and had like 4 sacks, an interception, a forced fumble, and a return touchdown. He's a monster. Like, I can never count him out. But I would say, I guess if I was putting a number, I would say, yeah, your 50-50 estimation, but I would lean towards the playing side of 50 probably.
Okay.
Fair enough. Now, you brought up Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
Seems like every year he finds himself in the hot seat. And so it's really interesting, us on the outside, you know, hearing the narrative from a national standpoint.
Yeah.
But you know, it's been this way for the past few years now. Is this another season where he's able to put it together and avoid, you know, the axe, or is this his final year as head coach? And then really, how much will the rest of this season's outcome matter? Like, is his destiny already kind of painted, if you will?
So what we're hearing right now in Chicago is that they're actively looking for Matt Nagy's replacement, that they're actively looking for the next guy, and it doesn't matter how he finishes the season. Now, of course, you hear that, then by the will of God, the Bears going to win the Super Bowl. Tough to fire a guy that wins the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen, like, even with remember how much of a shock it was when Peyton went to the Super Bowl with John Fox, and then they got destroyed, and then John Fox didn't have a job, and he was like, "You just fired a dude that went to the Super Bowl, dog. What are y'all doing?" But Matt Nagy and the Bears is to me, in my opinion, should be set in stone. But you have to look at now you're assessing the job that Ryan Pace is going to do, because the second half of the season, if the Bears go 8-0, it doesn't change the fact that we're on season 3 of multiple losing streaks. And not small ones. Not like he lost 2 games here, won a game, lost a couple here, won a game. Like 6 games in a row, 2 years in a row. And facing you guys, Matt Nagy hasn't won a game off of the bye in his entire Bears career. It looks like you guys are in a pretty good position to come away with a dub here coming in on Sunday. So just based on the trends that we've seen. So you're talking about another season where he's gone 4+ games where he has lost continuously and gotten his head kicked in a good chunk of them. And so to me, that writes the story to me for Matt. Like, we've all seen those coaches that it's a good, he's a coach that gets you to a spot. Matt, I absolutely believe he was in the room. He said, "Go get Justin Fields." Ryan Pace has the cojones to go do it. He absolutely has to be there. But Matt Nagy goes and says, "I want Justin Fields. Get me him." I don't think we get Justin without him. We probably end up with Kyle Trask or Mac Jones, something like that. The thing that I look at with Nagy, though, is you have to look at what has he gotten you to, where has he gotten you to, and it's 8-8 consistently. The only good thing about this season coming here is there's no chance Matt Nagy can go 8-8.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one with Nagy. And then who do they dub to replace him? Do they get some young guy from the college ranks who's, you know, looking to break into the league? Do they get a recycle old, you know, retread and an old fired coach in the NFL? Do you have a guy in mind, or are you just hoping for the best at this point?
This is the thing with the Bears, and I feel like people have forgotten this in football a lot. The best thing that you can do is find the best leader of men. We've gotten go find me an offensive guru, go find me a defensive guru, go find me an offensive specialist, go find me the quarterback whisperer. Kyle Shanahan is an amazing play caller. He's a terrible head coach. He doesn't understand how to manage the clock. He doesn't understand how to when to throw the challenge flag at all. I don't think he's won many challenges in his time there. He doesn't really understand how to manage a team. He's a great play caller, but he's not a good head coach. Now that's led to wins. It's worked out because he's got the offense that he's wanted to build. Matt Nagy doesn't even have that to lean on. So to me, when I'm looking at a head coach, find me the best leader of men. Because you know what? You guys, John Harbaugh was a special teams head coach. Guess what he does?
Lead.
Yeah,
Dude
leader of men.
Hey, you offensive guy, go do what you do and figure out Lamar. Because if you do that, you'll stay.
Right.
You build me a great defense, and I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna know how to do everything. And guess what? When Lamar wants to go for it on 4th and 4, You want to go for it? That's my call. Let's go for it. Those are the moments I need a head coach to be a head coach. Like, I don't care if it's an offensive group. So for me, I keep hearing Ryan Day. I've heard why can't I think of
Lincoln Riley,
I've heard I really
And Bieniemy, I'm guessing.
Eric Bieniemy.
You know what? I haven't heard a lot of Bieniemy because I think people are scared to go back to the Andy Reid tree.
Oh yeah, that's true because you got burnt once because of Nagy, right?
Matt Nagy really screwed over Bieniemy's job opportunities. I'm not gonna lie. And then who's why can't I think of Bill's offensive coordinator?
Oh shoot, yeah, that's a good point.
Laser.
No, we got Laser. Bill Laser's
Oh, that's right. That's your.
He was the Bills' offensive coordinator.
Yeah, a couple years ago, right?
Bills. The offensive coordinator for the Bills has been in there, but you know.
Oh, how do you say his last name? Is it DeBoll?
Oh, Dable.
Brian
Dable.
Dable.
There we go. There we go.
I knew I was saying it wrong.
No, but we keep hearing those guys because he can fix the quarterback. He's the guy that's going to get the quarterback right. He's the guy. The quarterback's fine. The kid can play. We see it. He can play football. For the first time, we got a quarterback in the room that can play football. We're not worried about that aspect of it.
Well, you had Andy Dalton.
No, Andy. Listen,
he's being sarcastic on that one.
No, I'll say this: Andy Dalton broke some Ravens' hearts back when he was in the stripes. So we saw Andy at his best.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was fine with Andy Dalton starting because of what you saw in the beginning.
Yeah.
As much as Bears fans hate Matt Nagy, he was right. Justin was not ready to be an NFL quarterback. Now, of course, you like throw him out to the fire, let the wolves get him. It's like who thinks this way? What's wrong with why would you want him to burn? So I was fine with Andy playing. I didn't like that they paid him $10 million, but I was fine with Andy playing. But
Andy didn't mind.
Andy didn't mind. Yeah, he's fine with it. No, but to me, as far as the head coach goes, just find me the best leader of men. I could care less. It could be the freaking the guy bringing the coffee. If he leads the coffee crew the greatest, get him in there.
No, I'm with you 1,000% because I think if you look at the two Harbaughs, John is a better leader of men than Jim. Yeah. Jim was the NFL quarterback, and he's got this rah-rah attitude. I think he does great in college because he's a dictator. Yeah. But there's a difference. You can't dictate in the NFL. You're coaching guys who make 10 times more than you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's quicker to fire the head coach than he is his star player.
Yeah.
So, I think John is, that's a great example. We talk about how great of a leader of men John Harbaugh is. And trust me, here in Baltimore, Glenn and I know we get our fair share. Get Harbaugh out of there.
He doesn't call plays. He doesn't call plays.
Yeah.
It's like just because he doesn't have the play sheet in front of him and he's not calling what's to do on 2nd and 6 has nothing to do with him as a head coach.
Yeah. But one of the things we got to know is about give us some insight into this team. If you had to pinpoint a few things that the Ravens should be highlighting and saying the Bears are good at this offensively, the Bears are good at this defensively, what would you say would be those few things on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball?
If I was gonna say anything, offensively, treat Justin like you treat Lamar in practice, because Justin can be that dynamic kind of player. Justin can be that kind, and I know the numbers don't say it at all. They don't.
Well, he's running for his life. I mean,
absolutely. But that to me, that's when now you see things clicking for Justin. Now you see things getting into place. Now you see things where Justin is figuring out, all right, I know these guys suck. I'm going to tell them pick up this blitz protection, but at the same time, I'm going to watch this blitz that comes just in case. That wasn't there when he first got. I mean, he got sacked 9 times in the first game. A lot of it's on the offensive line. A lot of it's on scheme, but some of that is on Justin just sitting there holding the ball too long. Everybody killed him for saying the game was kind of slow to me in preseason. I think the game's slowing down a little bit for Justin. It's moving the right direction for him. Treat Justin Fields like you were going to treat Lamar Jackson just in case. The thing defensively for the Bears, I mean, there hasn't been a lot good defensively. The one thing I will say is this team is going to try and take the big hit, and you guys have players that will try to extend the play in moments that they don't need to. Hollywood Brown has fumbled in some key moments. Lamar absolutely has fumbled in some key moments. At the end of the day, the Bears are going to try and knock the ball out more than they're going to try and wrap you up. Which is a problem, but if Lamar puts it on the carpet, it's not a problem. I would say those are the things that you would have to work. I mean, we're coming in 3-6, boys. Like, we're not doing a great job out here on either side of the ball. I guess number one thing though, offensively, David Montgomery will probably kill you for 100 and something yards.
Okay. Like, is that on the ground or both?
More on the ground. More on the ground. David Montgomery is a punch you in the mouth kind of running back. And the good thing about that for the Bears side of it, and bad thing about it for the other teams, is eventually you get sick of getting hit in the mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what Marshawn say? You keep hitting somebody over and over and over and over and over and over. Eventually they get sick of it. So that's kind of how David Montgomery is. And now the Bears do have a secondary option in Khalil Herbert, who showed that he's got a little bit of chops as well. I think that Bill Lazor want to use him a little more than he did last week. The running game is what the Bears are going to lean on heavily to try and get you guys, because it's the only thing that the offensive line that we currently have is good for blocking it. Great run blocking, terrible pass blocking.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because my boy Glenn over here and our producer DK aren't too high on number 98 Brandon Williams these days, and we might
still
need
want
Brandon
him out there, but at the same time, I mean, he's our second highest paid, second highest cap hit, and it's hard. It's hard to continue arguing for, well, he takes up 2 blockers when our linebackers aren't playing that well.
But if he's taking
either,
if he's taking those punches from David from Montgomery, that might be all right? Like, we'll pay him for that.
Yeah, if he wants to stand in there and take a few pops, that way Bynes can rap, then we'll do that.
Hey, listen. You can't complain about cap hits when we got 2 quarterbacks that are never going to see the field again, both making $10 million each. Like, you're barking.
I hear you. But look, if you look at our IR list, we got about 40 mil sitting on IR right now. That is still very much eating away at our cap and driving us crazy.
Yeah,
but so when you look at, I always like to get the outsider's perspective on the Ravens. So when you look at the Ravens, what are your thoughts on the Ravens? Like, what's just in general, what are your thoughts on the Ravens coming in?
Going into this game, right? Because we have this conversation, Glenn and I, every week before we prep. Like, okay, how are we feeling about this team? But we'd like to know what you think. Great question, Glenn.
The Ravens, to me, well, I think that a lot of the Bears history works in you guys' favor. Like I said, Matt Nagy's never won a game off of the bye. I don't think the Bears have won a game off of the bye in like 6 years. Maybe 5. I think they're 0-5 off of the bye, something like that. They usually come out with their worst game plan of the year off of the bye. When I look at the Ravens, I see a team that absolutely can destroy you early in a game if you allow them to. I think that the Ravens' firepower, in my mind, is very on par with what Kansas City does, with what the Bills do. I know that's a tough take after watching them go out in Jacksonville and put up 6 points, but with what
they bounced back though.
They lost that one.
No, I'm talking about after that. You talking about the Bills?
Oh,
they destroyed last week.
Bounced back, yeah. They dominated the next week. But the thing that I look at with the Ravens is they can keep you in a game, because we know, like, I love Lamar, but it's going to be tough for him as he gets older to not fall into that Cam Newton space if he doesn't become a more accurate quarterback. And he will absolutely overthrow some guys into the hands of defenders that makes the other team's life easy no matter how bad the team is. But on the flip side of that, I've watched Lamar completely play his team out of a game, put it on his back, and drag you right back into the game. You can never count the Ravens out. The Ravens are probably the most resilient team in football right now, as far as like, oh, we've got these guys done. They're done. And then in the second half, it's like, who's this guy behind center right now that looks like the greatest quarterback in the NFL? So you guys are what I would say the 110% tale of two halves.
Yeah. As it stands right now, certainly that is the case. Now, this is something we've never asked anyone before, but so you're the first one. But I've got to know, based on the fact that I spent some time in Chicago around this time of year.
Yeah,
not the friendliest weather. What are we looking? What are we looking for? What are we looking
What's
like?
the weather report for this Sunday?
I believe you guys are basically getting a beautiful day.
All right. Because we got a lot of Southern Florida boys on that team. I don't think
Lamar don't like the cold. Hollywood don't like the cold. Sammy.
Now, this is the thing too. Is Buffalo a dome? It's not a dome.
No,
right?
No, it's cold and windy and rainy last time we were there.
It's cold. What do we got? So, yeah, Sunday. So it depends on what you think cold is. So for me, you know what I'm saying? I can go outside in 45 to 50 degrees in a t-shirt and be good for 15, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that cold is 50 degrees, it might not be a good day. But actually, now I'm looking at it. No, it's supposed to be, it should be about 47 degrees Sunday as of now. 40% chance of rain. Rain would help us out dramatically. So it just, I love Lamar's hands, man. They're great, and he's gonna run. But
what's the wind like? Because it's the Windy City, right? I mean,
well, it will depend on. Here's the thing with Soldier Field: if there's any wind, you can't hide from it in Soldier Field because of how it's built. It's built like a spaceship. So if the wind hits on the right, it will get around to you if you turn your back on it on the left. That's why finding a kicker, like everybody was like, the Bears can't find a kicker. I was like, it's not easy to kick in there. Like it is wind going right and left kind of at the same time, and you've got to play it. That's why Robbie Gold was that dude, man. But no, it should be, it depends on what Lamar thinks cold is. 47 ain't cold to me.
Now I think
still in short sleeves.
Right, I think he'll be all right with 47. I was worried about, like, the ground being a little frozen and.
Well, I'll say this: the field's gonna suck. It's just late in the year, and we've got grass. Like,
yeah,
that's just Soldier Field. That's why the Bears are trying to move to Arlington Heights.
Yeah, we got grass here in Baltimore too, so we certainly understand. While we love the real grass, we certainly understand that later in the year it impacts the field and the play on the field. But it looks like the kicker. What I'm seeing looks like you got a pretty competent kicker, and when you look around the league, it's hard to find one. Of course, we're spoiled here in Baltimore having the greatest kicker in the history. But it looks like Santos could get it done if it came down to it.
I trust Cairo. I don't trust Matt Nagy. You know, I'll never understand the thought process. And it's funny because we did a live event. And so, live event, you're out there with the fans and stuff like that. You're having a few drinks. So I'm like, kick the field goal. And then like the next day I looked at it and I was like, why the heck did we kick a 65-yard field goal? And his longest ever is like 52. Like, what will we do? You basically just gave the game away. Like, throw a Hail Mary, see what happens. So I don't know. I trust Cairo to the death. I don't
know how you can trust anybody that I don't know how you can trust anybody with no hair and a visor. I'm still trying to get over that one. Like, why is that? Like, he looks like a used car salesman to me. Like, no offense to used car salesmen out there, but like,
yeah, I was gonna say that's disrespectful to the used car salesman.
Sorry, guys.
At least at the end of the used car sale, you get a car. I was told I had an offensive guru. I don't have an offense.
But I also got to ask this question. You kind of talked about, what the Bears hang their hat on or try to this year. Yeah. It sounds like I know you guys are kind of going through it, and I can imagine we would be about the same as if we were as well. And in a certain sense, we are, especially with the last week. But also, you talked about what the Ravens are good at and kind of how you're looking at that. But what is it if the Bears have a chance to win? What needs to break right for them? You talked about like the fumbling, but is there anything else that really needs to break right for them that they really need to execute on? Do they just need a new head coach?
No, it doesn't. This is the thing, right? I always say cream rises to the top. Well, people, we talk about, and I know he's a tough topic now, but we talk about Deshaun Watson and what he did his rookie year and what he did. And oh my goodness, he's on level with Pat Mahomes and this guy's, he was getting blocked by tight ends. Like legitimately, if you go back and look at his offensive line, there were tight ends in front of him. Cream rises to the top. Some guys can just play football. And I think that it's starting to click for Justin. I basically just got off my show and said this: for the Bears to win at all at the end of this season, it's going to be on the offense. So the best chance the offense has to beat the Baltimore Ravens is heavy use of David Montgomery, Justin Fields, David Montgomery, just to eat the clock up, eat up as much clock as you can, and then have Justin be amazing. Have Justin come out and just kind of play his game. We've seen him kind of doing, especially when Matt was calling it, standing in the pocket, waiting to get hit. There wasn't a lot of room for him to go. I mean, we haven't seen a defensive line yet that hasn't been in our backfield. So it's like 7-Eleven back there. We're always open, man. So it's going to be on Justin, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet in that offense to come together, figure it out. And I mean, a mediocre day from the offensive line. Mediocre gets just in time.
Now let me ask you this really quickly. The Ravens have been susceptible to the deep ball defensively. How has Justin been thus far in his demonstration and willingness and play call, right? Because all those things have to match up to push the ball downfield. How's he been so far in the deep ball? Because we saw him do it in college, and I think he's got the talent to do it. But curious how that's looked so far this season.
Justin's deep ball is definitely one of the prettiest ones I've seen in a Bears uniform. I mean, Jay Cutler had a nice deep ball, but it often ended up in the hands of the defenders. Justin usually does a good job of, at a minimum, hitting his receivers in the hands, hitting them in spot. He's pretty accurate with his deep ball. The problem that there's been this season is, I mean, you guys have played a lot against Bill Lazor. Bill Lazor puts his foot on the gas when he's about to lose the game. So there's a lot of let's dink and dive. Let's get down here. Let's score points. We'll take 3. We'll get in the end zone. If we've got 21 points, it's a great day for me. That's not how football works anymore. And Bill Lazor's calling the shots. So I would say first over under by the end of the game. If I set the over under at 3 deep balls, you might see 2. I'd take the under. Now they might kill you. I mean, it might be 2 that hit the guy in the hands and in stride. But if you might see 2 the entire game.
Wow. Yeah, you certainly have to take shots if you're playing this Ravens defense. Now, before we let you go, Jimmy, any chance that we could somehow leave Pat Queen and grab Roquan Smith and switch the 2 and then just take Roquan with us? Because that would fix a lot of issues we got here in Baltimore.
That's all we got on that defensive side, dude. Roquan.
He's nasty.
Oh, amazing. He gets disrespected by these NFL analysts so much.
Not us.
Confused.
Yeah.
What they're looking at, man. Roquan is an amazing player.
Dude, when he hits you, I know we've all heard this before. This is not an original saying, but literally, I'm pretty sure your ancestors feel it.
But Jimmy, how cool is this? He has more than double the second in as far as tackles. He's got 93. Second on the team, Alec Ogletree has 41.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
And that's a middle linebacker. This is what we've been talking about all year, because Patrick Queen tackles like a defensive back. All he tries to do is rip the ball out of the hands of the defender.
Man, we got Marlon Humphrey leading our team in tackles most weeks, and that's not good. You want your middle linebacker doing exactly what Roquan Smith is doing, and that is lapping the field in tackles.
The problem is on the other end, we got Eddie Jackson telling guys in practice, man, you don't get paid off tackling, man. Anybody can tackle, while he doesn't do it. So,
oh, Jesus.
Eddie would fit in right here in Baltimore.
Yeah, exactly.
He might be out there next year. You never know, man.
Yeah. So it sounds like we know which way you're going, but do you have a prediction for this game? Do you have a score or a prediction for a winner?
You know what? I'm gonna say that the Bears actually do play a little bit of offense. I don't think that we get our heads kicked in. Because I am banking on the fact that Lamar has the tendency to keep teams in games. At a minimum, we've got Jalen Johnson. We've got, I don't know if Eddie's going to play. Eddie might not play, but we've got a ball hawk in Eddie Jackson who can come away with it. Roquan Smith, like you mentioned, can disrupt a lot of plays. I would go 24 points for the Bears, but I'm probably going to go 30. I go 34 points. I didn't get a field goal out of this. Like probably 24-34, something like that. Just a bad, not a bad game, but a game where you can clearly see we're here and these guys are contenders for a Super Bowl.
No, we appreciate that coming off of a terrible loss, because I don't even know if I'm picking us to win by that.
I tell you what, though, I wouldn't want to be the team that plays the Ravens off of a mini bye and an ass whipping that was embarrassing.
Because Lamar takes stuff to heart.
Yeah, well, and
I see it a little bit in Justin. I say, we might get this next Packers game. When Aaron came out with the whole "I own you," you saw Justin sitting on the side like, okay, all right, I got you. But Lamar takes things to heart, and it usually does not bode well for the team on the other side.
Yeah, and I think not just Lamar, even the offensive coordinator, the coaching staff, like certainly Greg Roman got an earful after that
John
game.
was pissed
Yeah.
after that
Livid.
game. Lamar Jackson, to me, is the perfect example of someone who loves winning but hates losing more than he loves winning. Hates losing. Hates it, man. I've never seen him so upset. And the same can be said really for John Harbaugh as well. But Pat, thanks for so much for joining us. This was
Absolutely.
awesome. My only wish is that we played the Bears more often so we could talk more
Yeah.
often.
But before we let you go, we got to talk symbol real quick.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk symbol. Absolutely. We were just talking actually before we hit record, and Jimbo bought an awful lot of Ravens stock, and it's paying off in a big way. What stock have you purchased in the NFL that is now paying some dividends?
So my NFL stock, I doubled down on my Bears. I pretty much back to where I started when I got in on them. I think I got in on them at $40. I think right now they're at 40. They are. I'm looking at it right now. They're at 40.89. It's not looking good for me there. I've got a little more NBA stock in my portfolio than I do NFL, and that's got me up right now. $42 in the positive right now. Actually, I got a little stock in the. I got 5 shares of the Pistons, boys. 5 shares of the Pistons. I know that's crazy, right?
You got Pistons and Cavs stock.
A little crazy, right? Long-term play. $22. I got them at $26 on the close out there. They're at right now. And then I got, of course, yeah, gotta show some love to my Bulls right here, man. I picked my Bulls up at a nice low $33 a share. They're up to 40.85. So big love over for the boys at Symbol, man. And it's my portfolio is moving the right direction, man. It's moving the right direction. There's a lot of long-term gambles on there. A lot of long-term, but that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like when I think about Symbol, it's not about, is this going to pay off for me tomorrow?
Right.
I'm looking at the talent on the team. I'm looking at, with the Pistons stock, I'm looking at Jeremy Grant. I think Cade's going to be better than a lot of people think, especially with how he started off playing. I think that there's going to be a little bit of a jump over there in what they're doing on Detroit. And I trust Dwayne Casey. I do. Like, I know a lot of people, you think about him as the guy before the Raptors won the championship, but I think Dwayne Casey's going to be able to turn that around up there.
Yeah, he got a raw deal.
Cavaliers a tough play. I'm banking on all talent on that, and that's just like, I might have to get out of that one.
LeBron even didn't want to stay there.
Yeah, LeBron has no stock in Symbol with the Cavs.
My favorite is what Kuz said as they came at Kyle Kuzma and were like, won a championship because of LeBron. And then Kuz comes back at him. He's like, hey, we've got something in common.
Yeah. Not the best shot if you're the Cavs. Like, really?
Yeah.
That's
anytime you get outsmarted by Kyle Kuzma, I'm a Ute, so I can give him a hard time as well. That's a problem because Kyle Kuzma, not the brightest light bulb in the bunch, that's for sure.
He wears nice clothes. That's all I got for Kuzma.
Hey, that's one man's opinion. But yeah, certainly our portfolio is doing all right as well. Like Glenn said, we got some Raven stock. Now we do have a share of the Raiders. Not doing too great these days, but we're hoping we can catch a spike and sell that one short.
That was a short sell that we didn't sell quick enough.
So we're hoping for one more 3-game winning streak out here and then selling that bad boy. Also got some Cincy and some Cowboy stock. Cowboys are doing well for us. So they're pulling our portfolio up ahead, and we're hoping that the Ravens bounce back after this game. But make sure you guys go check out Symbol. Use the link or the URL below. Use the promo code 410 to get $10 in your first deposit. Go check it out. Pat, thanks again. Have a great evening.
Well, hang on. Let's let Pat let everyone know where they can find you, your Twitter, anything you're working on.
Oh yeah, listen, I know Ravens fans are going to be coming at me on Sunday here because I tweet spicy. I tweet like my team's going to the Super Bowl, so it's all good. Follow me on Twitter at Pat the Designer, all one word. It's like a Tribe Called Quest, and for anybody that gets that joke, you're a great person. All of my socials are at Pat the Designer, and then of course you can catch us pretty much every day over on the Windy City Breeze YouTube page where we're breaking stuff down, talking Bears, talking Bulls. We're getting ready to start doing national sports over on the Patreon, so all that good stuff, man. I appreciate y'all for having me through.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Have a great one.